Hello and welcome to the Smart Investor. What is going on with inflation? Well, we know what's going on with inflation. We get the numbers coming out all the time. The one that came out not too long ago wasn't too bad. It looks like it's going down. But yet, people are complaining about inflation. People are saying, which number are you looking at? Are you looking at the number that the Fed is looking at? He's saying, well, guys, I'm doing a good job. It's on the way down. But yet you have a bunch of people that are saying, wait a second, I don't know what he's looking at. I don't know, but I can't eat with that CPI number that he's looking at. What's really going on? And what you should know, because as I always said, what you see is not what's happening. You should know that the inflation number as measured by the CPI, I'm not even talking about the real thing, right? Eggs and rent and things like that are more and more expensive. I'm not talking about that. I'm just sticking to the numbers. I'm just sticking to the numbers for now, right? I want to show you that most of the time, what the market and what they're telling you is happening is not really happening. Most of the time, the data, first of all, is delayed. Second of all, sometimes is wrong. And third, it doesn't really measure what's really going on because we don't know what's really going on. Wait a second. We're trading stocks every day. We're making and losing fortunes every day on the data. Exactly. And that is why if you want to make money in the stock market, don't really try to look for the data. It's not real. It doesn't even measure what's really going on. You need to understand what the story is. You need to understand what's really going on. What do you mean what's going on? I'll give you an example. Listen to me. Just give me 5 seconds. And by the way, don't forget to subscribe. Please, thank you. And also to like. Now, I'm going to tell you a very simple example that you're going to understand. I'm assuming everyone is watching The Walking Dead, right? What does that have to do with finance? Hold on, let me finish. So if I were to ask you, hey, what's the story with The Walking Dead? Most people will say, well, obviously, it's about a bunch of people, trying to survive and being eaten by the zombies. So that's what's your point? But what's the real story? What is the real story? Why is it that you think that they've been making movies about Walking Dead since the 60s? Why do we want to keep watching this thing over and over and over? Why is this thing's got 10 seasons and now they're splitting it 4? What is obsession? It's not the gore. It's not the gore because after a while it gets boring. It's just that you need to understand the real story behind it, which is about who's the Walking Dead. It's not the zombies. It's the Walking Dead, the real people, right? It's about maintaining your humanity. How do you remain a human? How about Dracula? What does it think about Dracula? It's not about a vampire. What about Moby Dick? It's not about a whale. What is it about? It's about looking for the white whale, something that you cannot get. Your obsession. Dracula. It's about living forever, seeing all the one that you love die. It's not about flying in the sky and sucking people's blood. The point is, if you are able to dig deep and find the real story, that's how you make money, either by writing books or by investing. So let me tell you the story about inflation. You need to understand that the inflation number that you're looking at today, assuming it's telling you the truth, is not the same that we used to use in the 80s. They've changed the formula on you. So, wait a second. What do you mean we changed the formula? Inflation is inflation. Whoa. I don't want to get into details. But The way they're calculating inflation today, which is around 5%, if we were to calculate it the way we used to do it in the 80s, let me give you a bit of history right now, because you need to understand that in the 60s, we had the Vietnam War that created inflation because we spent a lot of money for that war. Then, obviously, president came in after Kennedy, Nixon, and he said, hey, I got to rain down on this inflation. So I'm going to bring my buddy, right? His buddy was I made a video on that, by the way, so you may want to take a look at it. But he was a Fed chair, and he said to him, hey, you gotta fight the inflation, but don't raise rates too much, because that's not good for anyone. So I want you to fight inflation without raising the rates. Obviously, it didn't work. Obviously, we got a recession, hyperinflation. It was a disaster. Nixon is a disaster. He got out. New guy came in, and the new Fed chairman, Paul Volcker, killed the economy, but beat the inflation. Okay? So since that, somehow, I don't know why, coincidental, they say, you know what, maybe we should change the way we calculate CPI. Because, and lo and behold, and I will show you that, give me a second. If we were to calculate inflation the way we would have calculated in the 80s, it would be higher, a lot higher, right? Maybe this is the inflation that the people that are complaining about inflation, the real people, not the economists, not the PhDs, right? Not people in the stock market, people that on the ground, they say, listen, I don't know what you're talking about. We're beating inflation. I'm suffering down there, right? And obviously, a political party is taking advantage of that for right reason, because some people are truly suffering. But then you say, well, you're suffering. Where's inflation? No. Technically, the CPI inflation is much higher, even if you use the old calculation. So there's two topics in this discussion that you need to understand if you want to make money in the stock market. First of all, you need to understand that the information that you're looking at is A, not accurate all the time, B, doesn't calculate or measure everything that should be measuring, and C, really doesn't represent what's going on the ground, because it's most of the time past dated information. Yet we are looking, well, we've been looking, now things are changing a bit in the stock market, but we were looking heavily as to what's going on with inflation. Now, obviously, inflation is on its way down. That's a fact. Okay, but depends which one, the old inflation or the new inflation, right? They're both down, but one is higher than the other, and I will show you that in a few minutes. The second thing is they were saying, oh my God, we're going to have a recession. And now we realize, you know what? I don't know. I mean, look at the latest numbers. Subscribe to if you go to my Patreon channel, every morning I send some notes or whatever, let you know what's going on, explain to you what you're seeing, because at the end of the day, it's all about education. The point is now, it doesn't look like a recession is a big deal. So what is the story in the market right now? That's what you want to know. What is the story? What is driving the market? Right now, what is driving the market, it's not CPI, it's on the way down, inflation. I mean, I'm not saying you're not suffering from inflation. I'm saying the data that we're using to make money in the stock market, inflation is not going to be an issue, i.e., you shouldn't be worried about them, lowering or raising the rates because inflation is a problem. They're going to lower the rates. That's a done deal. Recession is a done deal. We don't have unemployment creeping up everywhere. This is not 2008. So what's the story? The story right now is valuation. Right now, the story is valuation, meaning that we have been paying too much per dollar of earnings, right? So the P ratio is going up and up and up and up and up, higher and higher and higher. How high, you say? Do you want to see what the P ratio looks like today? I'll show you exactly, and then we'll get back to the inflation situation. But basically, it looks like this. Yes, we are right here. We are paying $29 per dollar of earnings, right? In 2008, before we crashed, we were paying $70. Okay, that was a little bit too much, wasn't it? In 2000, the dot-com bubble there, we were paying 43. COVID time, 35. Okay, we're not there, or there, right? We're not in those, we're here. But they're saying, yeah, you're here, but you're on your way up. So what do I mean by valuation? I mean by valuation, and listen to me, this is important for you to understand to make money in the stock market. It means that they want to know what's going to happen to bring that valuation down. PE, price to earnings. So I want to bring the PE down. The way I do it is I increase the earnings. That is the reason why everyone is looking at the quarterly earnings coming out now. And when the banks, the banks released some good earnings, yeah, everybody was happy and the market went up. And now Netflix released something, yeah, so Netflix is going on. The banks are going on. This is fantastic. So that means that we were right in awarding a high PE ratio, a high valuation to the earnings. So that's the story right now. So as long as you get some good earnings, you're in the know. You're in the money. The circus will always be coming to town. So let's talk about this inflation. Let me share with you a website that actually calculates it for you and explain to you what happened. This is all about education. This channel is about education. I want you to understand what is going on so that you can make up your own mind. Here it is right now. Shadow sticks. Alternate inflation chart. The CPI on the homepage reflects our inflation for today, as if it were calculated the same way it was in 1990. The CPI on the alternate data series reflect the CPI as if we calculate during the methodology placed in 1980. In general terms, methodological shift in government reporting have depressed reported inflation. You wonder why? Moving the concept of the CPI away from being a measure of the cost of living needed to maintain a constant standard of living. Okay, what's the bottom line? The bottom line is this. The bottom line is this. Look. Consumer inflation, official versus shadowy stats, 1990 based and 1980 based. If I were to look at 1980, and God knows that we had a lot of inflation those days and it was a mess, look at this number. The blue is the alternate CPI. We had 15% in the 80s. Remember that. That's how much. Where are we now? 12. No. We had 5 here. No. That's the new way of calculating. In the old way, you have inflation at this level. Right? So whichever one you look at, it is a higher CPI number by a lot. By a lot. So what does it mean? It's simple. It means that they're lying to you. It means that they're not telling you the truth. It means that you're looking at the wrong data. It means lots of things. So what do you do with that information? You have to be careful. You have to realize, of course, you're going to say, but that's a different calculation. But hold on. I mean, food is food, right? An egg is an egg. The money you spend on it is the money you spend on it. We didn't create a new dollar or anything. It's just the way you're calculating it is different. I'm not going to go into the great calculation, the differentiation on how to do it, because that'd be too complicated. But I want to get through to you, to explain to you, to understand that what you're looking at is not what you're getting. You're not getting what you're looking at. What's happening is not really happening. What you're seeing is a mirage. But in fact, I mean, take a look at a stock like GCT, right? It was trading in 27. It went down to 23. Now it's up 8%, almost to 27 again. Why? Perception. Why? What's driving the market then? What is driving these people to buy and sell stocks all the time? Expectation. That's what drives the market. Confidence. 2008, when we lost the confidence in the market, guess what happened? Everybody pulled their money out. We almost lost the economy. Why? There was no confidence. If there's no confidence in the economy, what do you think is going to happen? If there's no confidence in the stock market, what do you think is going to happen? Well, what the heck is confidence? It's like when you like someone and then you don't like someone. But we didn't destroy, I know. It's purely based on expectation. You need that system to keep running. And what makes the system running is the oil, is the confidence. Listen, when you go to the bank and you put money in the bank, aren't you afraid that the guy's going to close the door and then there's not going to be money? There is no money in the bank. The bank is only forced to keep, I think, 10% of that money. If tomorrow everybody goes to JP Morgan and say, I want my money, they don't have it. The money is not there. They're able to lend twice as much money as they put in that they get from you. Why? Because it's a bank. Why? Because it is insured. Why? Because you cannot lose the money, because the government is guaranteeing up to a certain amount. It's all about confidence. This whole thing is confidence. The thing is, you need to make sure that the story that they're telling you is a good story. It's a story that you understand. Because if you're reading the wrong story, if you're telling me that Moby Dick is about a whale, you're never going to make money in the stock market. If you're telling me that Frankenstein is about a monster, you're never going to make money in the stock market. Because you missed the whole story. You need to know what the story is. And run out to making the money in the stock market, you got to watch out and making sure that whatever you're buying has good earnings, and making sure that everybody else has good earnings as well. Because if bad earnings, that's not going to be good news for the stock market as well, because they're going to say we paid too much for it. No, they didn't have to worry so much about the tech stocks like AI, like NVIDIA. Why? Because the thing doubled every quarters. In fact, we're back to $134. You can't lose money with this thing because they keep making more money. Of course, there's a story and then a bunch of underlying story that you need to be aware of. You need to be aware that we have an election coming up, right? You need to understand that usually leading up to the election, we're like that. How do you make money in a market that's like that? Well, you got to do options. You go buy, you go short, and you go long. You got to do like the hedge funds do. Long-dated options, especially guys like Taleb Nassim, long-dated option. You'll benefit if the market drops by 20%. Of course, it doesn't, you don't make any money. But if it does, you make a lot of money. It pays to be first. Michael Burry, 2008. What did he say? He said that the housing market, the subprime housing market, is going to collapse. They laugh at him. I say, you kidding me? People are not going to pay their mortgages? The confidence is going to escape from them? No, that's never going to happen. He was reading the story and he read the story. He knew exactly that Frankenstein is about the love of a parent for his child. It's not about a monster. He read the story, he saw it, and he said the market is going to collapse. People are not going to be able to afford their homes. When those mortgages are going to refinance, they won't be able to pay for the mortgages, and everybody's going to be paying. And then everybody's been packaging all these things in those humongous structures, highly leveraged, that they will never be able to pay. He saw it, he made it, he did it. And he made so much money with Goldman and these by hedging that it's unseemly. 500, $600 million. That's what you want to do. You want to be first. So you want to see what they don't see. You want to read the story before it. During COVID time, Taleb Nassim was walking around the airport and he saw these people in Asia just closing everything. And he said, what if it happened here? You're kidding me? We're never going to close the US. He was reading the right story. He saw that Moby Dick was not about a whale, but about searching something that you cannot find that will lead to your destruction. That's what you need to do. You need to know what's going on. You need to read the story. But who's going to tell me what the story is? Well, if we tell you what the story is, then there's no story because everybody knows it's too late. So how do I get to that story? Well, you have to educate yourself, understand what's happening, and most importantly, you need to be lucky. Unfortunately, luck is a big component. But what is luck, really? Luck is when you don't know, right? If I'm going to drop a pen on the floor and I tell you, what is the likelihood that this pen is going to hit the floor? You're going to say, stupid, 100%. Wow, you're so smart. How do you know that? Well, because when you drop it, falls all the time. But what does it fall all the time? How come it doesn't go the other way? Well, because, we've studied it, and Newton said that, the earth attraction, blah, blah, blah. So there's no surprise there. Everything else, you're saying, wow, it looks like magic. It's not magic. It's not luck. There is no such thing as luck, technically. All it is what you don't know. But once you know, it's not luck. So you need to know. How do you find out? Well, you have to educate yourself. You can't just listen to people telling you what to do, because if they're telling you what to do, they're already doing themselves, and they're waiting for you to come up to their level so then they could sell. Because you always buy when everybody else is selling, and you sell when everybody else is buying. Okay? So hopefully today you got the picture, and I've been talking about this for quite some time in many of my videos. And don't forget, subscribe to this channel. I've been talking about this for quite some time, telling you, be careful what the data is not what it seems. Don't try to understand what's happening in the ground, because you never will. You only invest in terms of what you think, and most importantly, what you're understanding the story is as to what the market is thinking. That's what you want to make. That's how you make money. But it's not easy, unfortunately, because you cannot comprehend everything at once. There's so much data, so much of it, that we tell you the story. I went in too early on October 8th with Tesla. I figured, you know what, Jesus Christ. I mean, look at this thing. They're doing great thing on Tesla. Why is it that we can't? No. Yeah, I know they have the robots, they have the spaceship, they have all these things. But you know what? What I forgot is the story on Tesla. I think he's a little bit too close to Trump, unfortunately. That is a story that I miss. I mean, the guy is brilliant, right? Did you see the rocket ship there? Right? They let you grab that thing and lock it in. I mean, this is the greatest feat in engineering in 25 years. Do you know what it takes to do something like that? That's amazing. The robot, come on, I think he's going to pick up an egg. This is amazing. I figured, well, I mean, robotaxi should be a slam dunk. I missed the story about he's out there at Trump rallies every day, right? And people just got pissed. I am telling you, that is a story. and you're going to see more and more of it. I miss that. Well, then you have to wait. Hopefully, how are we done? The market, Tesla is down to $220. It needs to get back to 250. Good luck on that. Why didn't I see it? Because I can't see everything, right? I mean, sometimes you'll get it. If you go on my Patreon channel, you see some interesting trades. 20, 30% in a couple of days, in a month. I'm about 50% in September. 50% times 12, that's 600% a year. That's not too bad. And some of those trades, almost like 35 to 6% annualized a year. So forget an NVIDIA. You can make a lot of money in option if you understand the trend that's happening as what's going on. But you need to understand what the story is. If you don't know the story, then you're barking the wrong tree. Okay, so inflation, pretty high if you look at 1980, right? Closer to 10%, not 5%. And that's what some people are suffering from inflation, for real. Okay, so don't forget, next week, Tesla is releasing its earnings. Lots of information. Keep watching for the earnings. If the earnings are good, we are good to go, because we're going to have, he's going to lower the rates. Trust me, he's going to have to do at least 25 bips. He doesn't want to crash. He doesn't want any problem with the law here. So that's going to happen. Mark my words. But I keep saying in another video, I hate to say, but what's waiting for us is a national debt. That's going to be a problem. That's going to be a lot of damage. Not yet. We're not there yet. But if you plan to retire in a couple of years from now, be careful, because there's no easy way out. No, the only way for you to make money in something like that is when you think it's going to hit, and you buy a bunch of long-dated puts and you wait. But good luck on that. That's a tough call to make. Okay? See you next week, and you can take that to the bank.